What's up, good people? I'm going to give everybody a little bit of time to get into the room. So, as we do, if you would, go ahead and just drop where you're from, the name of your church. I would love to just be able to know who you are, know where you're watching from. It's always encouraging to me just to see people from all different places. I know a couple of weeks ago, I was super excited. We had somebody from Anchorage, Alaska. I think that's the farthest we've ever had somebody watch. And so that was really neat, really cool. So go ahead and drop that. Also, do me a favor. Go ahead and click subscribe on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. But if you're on Facebook, if you're in one of our groups, go ahead and click share. Share this with somebody else. You know, some people around you who can really, really be blessed by this. All right. So we're going to give it another minute or so while you do that, while you share, while you like, while you tag, while you just say, what's up? Like, just holler at your boy. What up, man? How you doing? All of that good stuff. And we're going to get started tonight. We got something real good for you. I think it's going to be a blessing. I think you're going to enjoy it. I think you're going to love it. And so I'm excited to share it with you as I think it's going to add some real, real value to where you are and where you're headed. All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump in and get started tonight. And I think what I've got to share with you today is going to be really good. We're talking about reach, moving aggressively into the digital space. If you've been around ministry for the last couple of years, you know that there's been a huge shift that's taken place in that we have seen the digital come on pace with the physical world. Here's what I mean is that whether we like it or not, there are some people and many people in our culture and many people that we want to reach who value being present digitally as the same as being present physically. And now, again, we can stand on our horse and we can stand on our soapbox and we can combat that fact and we can argue about it and all that kind of stuff like that. But it doesn't change the reality that we live in a phygital world now. It's physical and digital. And so, since we live in a phygital world now, we must understand that we've got to be cognizant of what's happening in the digital space. And so now, one of the questions that you may be asking is, how do we move into that digital space? What does that mean? What does that look like? What does that really entail? And that's a question we're going to answer for you tonight, right? We're going to talk about some things you can do to really move forward in the digital space. All right. Now, before I say this, let me say I'm going to start in the shallow end of the pool, but I'm going to work my way to the deep end of the pool. All right, because I know most of you who are watching this are most of you are African American pastors, and one of the things about us in the Black church is that we can tend to be, 5 to 10 to 15, in some cases 20 years behind other groups because the stuff that we're learning today that it's blowing our minds is stuff that other groups have been doing for a number of years that may even be what's giving them a leg up. So tonight I'm gonna reveal some of that to you. I'm gonna show you some of the things that you could do to get more aggressive in the digital space. So I'm just saying, put on your thinking cap. Some of this is going to be new to you, but please, as you listen, don't hear me saying you need to personally do these things. It might be that you need to find somebody who knows how to do them, find somebody in your congregation who's willing to learn how to do them, or just hire somebody who can do them for you, right? And full disclosure, I am not available to do all these things for you, right? So I know I'm gonna open up some stuff, but that doesn't mean I can do it for you. Some of it we can, some of it we can't, right? So let's talk about this. We're gonna talk about reach, right? And so what I want to talk about is what are the openings, right? I was in college. I was a ball player. I was a football player, and I started off as a running back. And I remember as a running back, one of the primary things that you had to know was where is the play going, right? If we say it's 46 lead, 46 power, I know it's going to the right side, to the six hole. I got to get to the six hole, right? But here is the reality of what it really means to play ball and to be an effective ball player is that sometimes the hole is not going to be where it's supposed to be because the plays we call and the blocking schemes we plan are all based on the opposition doing what we expect. That's the best we can do is that we're planning that, okay, they're going to put a person here. Somebody's going to be three technique. Somebody's going to be right here. So these two guys double team, wash down. Okay, you go off his butt, you're good, right? But what happens when that player shifts at the last minute? And instead of the hole being where you thought it was going to be, instead of where the opening being where you thought it's going to be, Now it's somewhere else. And so in that moment, you've got two choices. You can be stubborn and say, I'm going where the play said go, and run into a pile and a big brick wall and get tackled. Or you can adjust, make a cut, find the opening and go. Right. And as a running back, one of the things that was valuable to me is I had to be able to find the opening. And so what I'm saying to you as a leader is sometimes things won't go as you expect. Sometimes you're going to have a plan and say things are going to go this way. We're going to do this. We're going to be strong at this, strong in this, blah, blah, blah. Right. But sometimes the opposition will do something you weren't expecting. I know I didn't expect at this point to be living in this almost post-Christian culture. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that we now have to go from thinking that the worship service is our front door to extending our front door to something else that meets people in their homes. I didn't expect that. And so as a church, what we've got to do is we've got to shift and we've got to find the new openings because there are new openings out there, but we've got to be willing to go look for them. And once we find them, to actually step into them and let them make a difference for us. All right. So here's what I'm showing you tonight is that I'm showing you some openings. I'm showing you some places, especially in the digital world, in social media, online, where you can make some shifts and where you can see things be different if you would embrace the change, embrace the shift, and ride the wave. All right. Let's talk about 3 online openings. Number one, first online opening I think we all need to consider is on demand development. On demand development. Here's what I mean is that, I think the days are gone where we can expect that people would spend 3, 4, and 5 nights a week at the church. Now, that's how I grew up. I grew up church all day Sunday, like from early service, Sunday school, regular service, 1,000 men in hats or 1,000 men in black, 1,000 women in hats, somebody anniversary at their radio broadcast, a musical at 7. Right, and that's how I grew up. But then even throughout the week, you got teachers meeting, Bible study, BSU, prayer meeting. You got all these different things happening throughout the week. And a lot of times you could find a bunch of the same people were there. Well, today is different. Today, people don't make as much time or don't have as much available time, right? Now, before you get angry at people and say, man, people aren't just as committed, it's not just that. It's that the world is constantly changing, right? That's like getting angry at millennials and young people who say, I don't want to buy a house, right? Type of deal. Or why won't you just go get a nice job and buy a house and so on and so on. Well, we're not working stable factory jobs where you show up and you do this one thing, and you make your money and you earn your pension and all that kind of. We live in a different world. The average person is working 2.3 jobs, and it might be more than that at this point, right? Because that's what it was about a year and a half, 2 years ago. So the average person is having to work more to earn the same quality of life, not the same money, but the same quality of life, right? Because again, we know things cost more, inflation is more, right? I went to go and buy a 12 pack of Cokes, like yesterday. And I go in there to buy my sodas, and I got my cherry vanilla. That's the one I like, or cherry Coke. Those are my favorites. And man, that 12 pack was like $9. And I'm looking like, what is happening? Like, what is going on? Like, that's like, no, like I can barely, sell these, you could barely sell these at $1 a piece and make that money back. Like, why are these so high? And so it's just like stuff has changed. And so here's what you got to realize is that people today have to work more to earn the same quality of living, but their responsibilities haven't changed. It still costs time to be married. It still costs time to be a parent. It still costs time to get rest. All those things still cost time. And so as a result, people have had to make hard choices about what they can do with their time. And so that means that the average person doesn't have a ton of time where they could come to church once a week for development, or they can come to church twice a week for a meeting or something that's going on. And so we've got to be smarter with our time. And so here's an opportunity right now. If you have people who are willing to show up and willing to come, by all means, do your thing. But if that's not the case for you, here are some ways. Here's one of the ways: on demand development. Turn development into something that people can access whenever they want. So here's what I'm thinking about. You know, When I go to the gym, when I'm sitting in my office working, I've always got something else playing in the background. Sometimes it's music, sometimes it's a podcast, sometimes it's an audiobook, sometimes it's a sermon from YouTube, all kinds of stuff, right? Those are on demand opportunities, right? When I feel like listening to a podcast, I pick up my phone and cut it on. If that podcast host told me I had to meet them live on Monday night at 7 in order to get it, I couldn't do it. I'm like, all right, cool. I just won't be, partaking in your podcast. I like it, but I won't partake in it, right? But if it's out there where I can get it whenever it's convenient for me, then I will absolutely do it. And so, as a leader, as a church, we've got to start thinking the same way. How can we make development available for people on their schedule? Somebody could be sitting at work being developed spiritually. Somebody could be in the gym being developed spiritually. Somebody could be at home doing a devotional being developed spiritually. And so you got to think about uh, 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 a development strategy that's 24/7 content access. Right. Here's one of the things you've got to do is that, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more, but you've got to think about what specific development do you need for your culture, for the vision that God has given you and for what God has called you all to build as a team. What specific development do you need, right? Because it's not just this blanket development, but what's the specific development you need, right? So one of the things that's on my heart heavy is I think people change themselves a lot. Self-esteem, spiritual esteem doesn't feel terribly high because I think there's too many people in the world who don't know who they are, why they are the way they are, and why God made them the way they are. I believe one of the solutions to that is what I call Jesus DNA, right? It is this Ephesians 4 passage that says Jesus, his goal was to fill the entire earth with himself, right? And so I read that as him saying he wants to take who he is, his being, his character, his lens through which he sees the world, his calling, and he shared it with the world. Like he gave it out, right? And he gave as a result of wanting to share, wanting to fill the whole universe with himself. He gives out, he takes himself, the embodiment of who he is, and breaks it out into these four spiritual gifts, right? These four lenses through which we see the world: the apostolic, prophetic, evangelistic, shepherding, and teaching. I feel like if people knew the ways that they were like Jesus or the gifts that Jesus had left them, it would change how they operated. So, one of the development pieces that I do is around Jesus DNA, is that I'm helping people to think about how Jesus looks in everyday situations. Because if you are for example, a prophetic person, or a person who has a prophetic lens, who is always thinking about alignment with God, who is sensitive to the working and the moving of God in a unique way, all those different things, that doesn't just work at church. That works in everyday life. And so what I believe where the church has an opportunity, or where I see an opportunity, is to help people see what that gift is, how to use it, how to manage it, how it operates, and how to walk in it. That's a culture specific development, right? So for you, what's the specific development that you need to see in the church? Right? Maybe your culture specific development is really focusing on evangelism, really focusing on teaching people how to share the gospel through sharing their stories, by talking to other people, having conversations with other people, because you realize that the way that the church is going to grow is by people inviting people, right? And most people don't know how to invite, and so they don't. And so you can think about your culture specific scent, right? Another part of this, and I said this you see this on the slide: 24/7 content access. One of the things that spiritual leaders, are notorious for, and I'm guilty of this, is that we waste too much of our best content. We spend hours crafting and preparing meticulous, articulate messages to share the gospel with people. And we spend all these hours building that message. We share it once for 30 or 45 minutes, and then people never hear from it again. And it's like that's a bad deal. So how do you get more out of your content? That's what you've got to think about. You need to be thinking about, how can I take this sermon that I put a lot of time and energy into, that I prepared, and turn it into more things. Turn it into video clips. Turn it into social media posts. Turn it into a workbook. turn it into small groups or Sunday school questions. Turn it into something else so we can get more out of it. And so you've got to be thinking about how to get more content out. There's this principle this guy by the name of Brendan Bouchard put out there. It's called circular virality. And what his idea is take one piece of long form content, something where you're talking in a video for, 30 minutes to an hour, do that every week, but take that and turn it into a bunch of smaller pieces of content every week, like, and just keep it out there, right? But every piece of small content points back to the source, right? So you preach this Sunday, you recorded a YouTube, you saved it on YouTube, it's on YouTube, right? And so now you post clips. Every time you post a clip, there's a link that says watch the full message here. Boom. So if they click that link, they go back to the main video, right? You send out an email, say, hey, look, this Sunday was amazing. If you missed the message or you want to watch it again, click here to watch now. Boom. They go back to the video, go watch it again. Right? You're constantly sending everybody back to that same piece of content. And so now this sermon that you wrote and preached, or that your pastor wrote and preached, or whatever it is, now instead of just being used once for 30 or 45 minutes throughout the week, it's used multiple times. And so you got to get that out there. And so with that on-demand development, you can multiply your scent, right? I use that term, it's a shepherding term, because we always hear that shepherds smell like sheep and sheep understand the scent of the shepherd and all those different things, right? And so what I'm saying when I mean multiply your scent is that you can step in with on-demand development. You can step into the process of developing people that you may never physically touch or that you can rarely physically touch. Like if you've got somebody who works a weird schedule where they can only come to church twice a month or once a month, you can develop them because they can be somewhere consuming teaching and development and mentorship from their job, from their car, from their house, which causes them to build a relationship with you. You ever wonder why, some people get starstruck, right? It's because when you watch somebody enough, when you hear somebody enough, when somebody impacts your life, even from a distance, you feel like you get to know them. And so you could be building a long-term relationship digitally. And I know that sounds and that feels so weird to some people, but it's the reality. So one of the shifts you need to be thinking about is the shift that is on demand development. The next shift you need to be thinking about, and I told you we were going to start light and then we're going to move a little bit deeper. So here we go. We're stepping into the deep end just a little bit, is you need to be thinking about automated funnels. Automated funnels. What am I talking about, right? Well, we all know what a funnel is, right? This is what a funnel looks like. If you're putting oil in your car, you use a funnel, right? It starts out real big, so it gives you a lot of space to pour in, but then it gets more specific as it goes down. And so in business, we use what's called a funnel, which means that a bunch of people are going to start as completely unaware that, the product we have to offer exists. Then they're going to become, aware that they have a problem. We can solve that problem, so forth and so on, right? And so in our blueprint, we talk about the church funnel. We talk about moving people from engagement and where they just engage with something that we do. They watch online, they attend in person, they download a resource, they respond to a text message, they show up at an event, whatever it is. That's engagement, which we call the 5,000 that Jesus fed with the 2 fish and 5 loaves. Just this big wide group. We don't know specifics about that group, but it's the biggest group that we see. But then it gets more specific and it comes down to what we call the 500 that meet Jesus in the upper room, and then the 72 who he sends out two by two, or the 120 who are there at Pentecost, the 72 he sends out two by two, and then the 12, and then the three, Peter, James, and John, and then the one. Like it's just this funnel that just keeps on going. And the principle of the funnel is this: is that the more people that you can get to engage with the top of the funnel, the more people you get to come out of the bottom of the funnel, right? So if I get 100 people in the top of the funnel, I know all of them are not going to make it all the way to the end, right? All of them aren't going to make it to the bottom. But for every 100 that come in, 5 might make it to the bottom, right? And so it's this idea of having every step prepared. And so here's what I'm saying, right? And I'm thinking out of the box here a little bit. So I need you to go with me. Is what I'm saying is that businesses have been using funnels for years to make money, to build brands, to build companies, to build empires. For years, businesses have been using funnels. Why can't the church? The church needs to be thinking about funnels, which means that going back to on-demand development, you need to be creating content that's not just for the people who go to the church. It needs to be for people who ain't even thinking about church, but you're solving a problem that real people have, right? Listen, people don't have to be Christian to need help with their marriage or need help with their money, managing their finances. People don't have to be Christian to do that. But if you create a Christian resource, you could open the door and create an opportunity for them to become Christian if you do it well, right? And so when I'm talking about automated funnels, one of the things that we did when we first started the company, and we still do this for churches who are in our program, and we've got a really new, exciting product that's coming up soon. But one of the things that we used to do is that we build online discipleship classes, which means that somebody clicks a button on your live stream. And when they click that link on your live stream, it takes them to register for a class. Once they register for a class, they watch the class. They have to answer questions in some cases. Once they finish, they get a certificate and they can print that certificate out on the spot. Here is the beauty of this process that we build is that all you've got to do is post a link. Once you post a link, everything else is automated. People going through the class is automated. People graduating and getting their certificate is automated. People getting access to spiritual gifts testing is automated. People getting a personality test is automated. All those things are automated. People getting a free ebook with their class is automated. All of it is all automated. And so since it's all automated, now that's one less thing that a person has to do all the way through. Now, here's what we do say. Although that process is automated, we encourage the church to have somebody call that person within 48 hours. Faster than that if possible, right? But call them and talk to them so they talk to a real person. But outside of that, everything else is automated. And so here's what I'm saying. If a person shows up to church this weekend and they say, hey, look, I am I love to study, I love to teach, I want to become a teacher, right? I've never done it before, but I feel like I'm called to do it. How do I become a teacher? What's your step-by-step process to get them there? And what I'm arguing to you is that some of that could be part of an automated funnel. When a person joins your church, there should automatically be a questionnaire or survey that they answer that says, okay, are there any areas of passion that you have? What do you feel like God's called you to do? Blah, blah, blah. And based on the answers they give, it can direct them and say, okay, well, here's your next step. Here's where you can get involved. This person is going to be reaching out to you to contact you. This person is going to be checking in with you, so forth and so on, blah, blah, blah. Like, and it worked like clockwork. Like, I'm telling you, automated funnels are a beautiful thing. Like, man, one of the coldest funnels I ever built. And this was before I even knew the term funnel. Like, I just did it. I called it like a process or a system, right? But it was the coldest funnel I ever built. Is that we had this funnel where when people came through our discipleship class, they got to select which ministries they were interested in, which ones they wanted to be a part of. So they click it, boom, they click submit on that form, and we say, thank you so much for submitting that form. We look forward to talking to you soon. As soon as they clicked submit, what happened next was every ministry that they clicked was connected to the ministry leader, right? So, for example, if they clicked work, I want to be on the choir. If they said, I want to help with children's ministry, or if they said, I want to be a part of the parking team, when they clicked it, an email and a text automatically went to the leader of that ministry. Oh my goodness, this is so cold blooded. Listen, a text and an email automatic went to that leader, says, hey, such and such with the person's name has expressed interest in being a part of the blank team. Please give them a call. Once you give them a call, check it off in this box. Let us know, put the notes in this box. Let us know that you finished the call. Man, when I tell you, it was so cold. Like, people would literally be signing up for ministries. And as they're signing up for ministries, the leader just gets notified throughout the day. They pick up the phone, call them. Hey, look, here's when our first rehearsal is. Here's this. And then take it to another step. I created an email that all the leader had to do was send it to the person who signed up after they talked to him. Talk to him about being in the choir. Then they send them an email, say, hey, look, thank you so much for your interest in being in the choir. As I shared with you, our rehearsals on this night. And in order to be a part of the choir, you attend rehearsal for 3 consecutive weeks. And then on the 4th week, then you'll be eligible to sing with us. And we do that just to make sure that you're consistent and so that you can get a feel for who we really are before you have to step into blah, blah. All of that was automated. And here's what I'm saying to you is that one of the reasons that a ton of the things in the church aren't getting done is because you don't have the personnel to get them done. But what I'm telling you is that there are some things you could automate and you can put your personnel on people stuff. And I don't want to be the guy who's telling you robots need to take over the world. I'm not saying that, but I am a little bit, right? Just a little bit. I'm just saying that there are some tasks. Like one of the things I have automated is birthdays. If somebody's birthday comes up, I already created an automation that just sends them an email. It says happy birthday, and it's got my smiling face on there, or somebody else's smiling face, depending on who I built it for. Like it's got the pastor's smiling face. Hey, look, we just him and his wife saying, hey, look, we just want to bless you and say, happy birthday, we love you, blah blah blah. It's like basically a greeting card. That's a digital card that I just made a little graphic and put it on there. And it goes to people every time their birthday comes up. And people reply to that email. Oh man, thank you so much for telling me happy birthday, man. I just really appreciate that. That means so much to me. And they all into it. And they have no clue. That automation was set up 3 years ago. And yet when they reply to it, they're replying to a real person. And so now the senior leader can reply to that email to say, you can do that for birthdays, you can do it for anniversaries, all of the above, right? But it's all about having the automated funnels because the goal is to keep people moving, right? How do you make sure people don't get stuck? That they don't come to church, oh, I'm all excited, I'm fired up, and the next thing you know, they become a pew member who tip in at the end of worship, get a word, and then tip out before church is over. That ain't what you want. That's not what you want. And so one of the ways that you can do that is through automated funnels, right? And you see there on the screen it says coming soon, because as a part of our new product that you're going to be hearing about real soon, is that we're going to have something to help you do that. We're going to have all these automations that I'm talking about and more built in for you. They're going to be automatically done. So you're not even going to have to wrestle with it. It's already going to be done for you. And so literally we'll just set it up for your church and you'll be off and running. All right. So that's the automated funnels. All right. Third, last but not least, let's get out of here because I don't want to make y'all head hurt. You need to be thinking about virtual evangelism. Man, I don't know what is going on with my eye right now. Keep scratching it if you're watching on video. I'm sorry, but it's itching. All right. Virtual evangelism. All right. Now, we're getting now higher to the more advanced piece. One of the things that you could be doing is you could, instead of fighting against the internet, fighting against the digital space, you could be using it for your good. I was sitting not too long ago, and I was having a conversation with somebody. And I said, let's not talk about this too loud because 10 minutes from now, I'm going to see an ad about it. Right. Which is true. Like your phones are listening to you and they're using it to bring stuff to you that they know you already want. So they can sell it to you because that's how all these free platforms make money. YouTube is free because advertisers pay for it. Facebook is free because advertisers pay for it. Instagram is free because advertisers pay for it. TikTok is free because advertisers pay for it. And so that's a part of how they make money. So whether we like it or not, advertising is it. And so I remember I just kept seeing this ad. It felt like it was following me. And then finally I got frustrated. I'm like, why do I keep on seeing this ad? Well, when I kind of retraced my steps and thought about it for a minute, it was because I'd expressed interest in something. And one of the things that's so unique about Facebook ads or Instagram or YouTube or Google or TikTok, all of these different ads, is that ads allow you to target the people that you know are fit. Back in the day, old school church, you wanted to really blanket a neighborhood, you did a mailer. You send out a mailer, it goes to every house within your radius, costs you a couple $1,000s, and you get a 0.5% return is what could be expected. And the reason the return is so low is because there was no targeting. Like you're targeting people geographically, but people by that point, people became more transient. So in one neighborhood, you can have 20 different demographics of people. And so your church isn't for everybody. Like it's for everybody, but it's not for everybody, right? It's open to everybody, but everybody is not going to perfectly fit at your church. And so as a result, you wasted a lot of money doing mailers because they go to everybody, including a bunch of people who you already know ain't ever coming to your church. They're just not doing it. They're not coming to your church, right? If somebody has a whole different faith system, I don't care how many mailers you send them. They probably not coming to your church, right? So now what's different with Facebook ads and different kind of ads that we can use today is that you can target people. Is that you can say, show this to people. We're doing a series coming up on family. Show this to couples, people who are married, people who are parents, people who are between the ages of 25 to 45. Show this only to those people, right? And then now that same ad that you could have put on a mailer and spent thousands of dollars for $5, $10 a day, you can get it in front of the people who really might fit your church instead of wasting money sending it to people who will never come to your church, right? And so that's one of the beauties of Facebook ads is that you can say, here is the group of people we want to reach. Show this to those group of people and let's go from there, right? And when you hear me saying ads, don't think sleazy advertising, right? Because advertising and church don't always go together, which is why I call this virtual evangelism. Because what I'm saying is instead of saying, hey, come to our church and bring us an offering, amen, like, or come by my prayer shawl, like instead of doing that with your ad, you could say, hey, if you need prayer for your marriage, if you can do a commercial that says, hey, look, many marriages have been struggling since the onset of the pandemic. Pandemic caused us to see our time differently, and it caused us to be more reflective about our lives. As a result, some of the relationships we've always depended on are now up in question. If that's happening to you in your marriage and your relationship and you would like some help, we want to pray for you. So here's what I'm asking you to do. Click the button below. Click that button below and somebody's going to pray for you. Right? We're going to add you to our prayer list and we're going to be lifting you up as you continue to fight for your marriage. Right? Now, so I don't care who it is, somebody in your community who sees that, who's really going through that in their lives, that's going to register with them, right? That's going to register. So now they did the ad. So now they do the ad. And now all they do when they message you or when they fill out a form on your website, however you do it, all you got to do is pick up the phone and call them or text them back or email them back or do whatever you got to do, right? And as you do it and they say, man, thank you so much for this. I really appreciate it. Now you can say, well, listen, all this month we're talking about marriage. And I know you mentioned this weekend, we're going to be talking about communication. Man, this will be a great weekend for you guys to visit. Man, listen, I don't care. Y'all ain't got to give me no amen in the chats. Y'all ain't got. I know this is crushing it right now because I'm telling you that there is a different way to do it. The goal of evangelism is Jesus. It's Jesus, right? That's the goal of evangelism. It's not the method through which we do it. It's not all of that stuff is secondary. It is the message that we're trying to get across. And so what I'm telling you is if you step into this virtual space, it will work for you and you can use it to do something different. And so that's one way. Another thing when it comes to virtual evangelism to think about is video campaigns and testimonials. How can you do a video campaign through your church that becomes relevant to more people? You know, I learned something real simple. If you include people in something, they're more likely to share it. It's just reality, right? So if you're doing a program, the people who are getting honored are the ones who are going to invite the most people, right? We all get that. That's super simple. If you're honoring me at a program, I'm going to invite the people that I know to come be a part of you honoring me because I want to have people around who get to celebrate this moment with me, right? Same thing is true for social media. Is that one of the things that you could do to make a difference is include more people in the congregation in your social media. You know, I had a conversation with our social media team earlier this year, right? Because I saw something, I saw a trend. We had people taking pictures and they were doing a good job getting pictures. But every time they posted pictures, all the pictures, I ain't gonna say all, but I say 80% of the pictures had me in them, right? And I'm like, all right, I don't like that, right? Number one, I don't like it because I don't like the message it sends. I don't want to send the message that church is about me, that this church is about me, that I'm the one who wants to be seen somewhere and so on, right? So I didn't like that. Number two, I didn't like it because I wanted to reinforce the culture in the head of the people, the minds of the people who were operating that, hey, you're not here to please me, right? We're here to fulfill a mission together. So I don't know if I've said something or done something to make you feel like the pressure is about getting people to see me and to know me. I said, but that ain't what it is, right? So I talked to our team. I said, hey, look, I got a new rule. I said, from now on, only one out of every 10 pictures can include me or my family. Only one out of every 10. And that's at most. That's at most, right? Because I know we're not coming out with a million pictures. And most of the times I'm going to be preaching. So that's going to be one of the pictures that we have. I said, but only one out of 10 pictures can include me at the most. And I'm here to tell you, when we started doing that, and now we're catching pictures of people in our congregation and we're catching memories of families worshiping together and all these different things, the engagement in our social media is changing. People are engaging more because they're looking around and they're seeing themselves, they're seeing their family members, they're seeing people they love, they're seeing people they know, and all of those things make a difference. And so, what I'm saying to you is if you did video campaigns and testimonials that included people and shared those more often, you can really start doing some virtual evangelism because you'll start drawing more people to the page. I've got something I'm doing next year, and I'm not going to give y'all the details on it because y'all will steal it. But I'm doing this series that's going to be like, I think it's going to be our best series of the year. And in that series, every message in the series is going to open with a video from somebody in the congregation. Somebody in the congregation is going to be talking about what I'm getting ready to preach about in that series for the whole month, right? And we're gonna go big behind it. It's gonna be our big push for that quarter, and we're really just gonna give it all we got and really just push it hard. But I'm gonna be pushing people. I'm not gonna be pushing me. I'm not even gonna be pushing our church. I'm gonna be pushing people and their stories and their journeys and their testimonies and their thing, and I'm gonna be pushing them into it to allow them to see that, hey, look, your life has an impact if you start making a difference, your life has an impact on the world around you. So that's a video campaign. I'm taking video campaigns, including other people, because when you include other people, they start sharing. All right. And then here's the last thing to think about is where do online only services and teams fit into the blueprint of what God is doing in your church? Online only services and teams. Depending on the size of your church, if let's say you have a church of less than 100 people, 50, 75, whatever it is. If you've got 50 to 75 on Sunday, your midweek service, you could have weeks where it's only 5 people, right? And hear me well, I'm all about that life of showing up if it's 2 people in a room. Y'all better ask my wife about my resume. I would stand in a room with 2 people in it for Bible study and preach like the room is full and be looking at empty chairs like I'm talking to them. No, listen what I'm saying to you. Jesus wants to work through your life, right? And then nobody sitting right there. It's just me. Like it's just us in the room and everybody looking around like, who's he talking to, right? So don't, please hear me. I'm all about that faithfulness of, hey, look, I gotta do what God has called me to do, right? So we make it happen. But here's what I want you to think about. Sometimes it's hard on a team, and sometimes it's hard on you as a leader. It's hard because the time that you spend traveling to the church, um, teaching, and doing all the things that it takes, because it's never just show up and preach for most of us. It's always more to it. The time that you take doing that, you might be able to shift that to an online only Bible study and actually reach more people. You might be able to do that. You might be able to move it to an online only Bible study and reach more people and make a bigger difference as you go forward. And here's the other beauty of doing something online only is that if it's online only, you can choose whether you do it live or you pre-record it, which means that you can record it Wednesday morning and play it on Wednesday night, which means that you can record 4 in a row on the last week of the month and schedule them to play all month, right? Without ever having to do anything else to go with it. So, my point is that it may be beneficial to you and your team to move to online. And then here's the thing: you can still have other people involved. You can still have online greeters. You can still have an online prayer team. You can have all those different things, and people can do those things from home. One of the things we pioneered during the pandemic was something we call the virtual prayer room, and we figured out how to use Zoom to set up one-on-one prayer encounters for people as they came to the altar. So everybody comes in together. I talk to them. I would prepare them, and I would say, "All right, I'm getting ready to send you in a room so you can pray. Uh, as soon as you see the button pop up, just click accept. It'll take you straight in there. All right, thank you. Boom, send them. Now all of a sudden, I've got 5, 10 prayer rooms set aside where you go in and you're Zoom face to face with another person, and you guys are just praying, and you guys are just having a one-on-one moment, and it's like, man, there was no substitute for that. And so what I'm telling you is, virtual evangelism has its place. So we can sit here and complain about it, right? Or we can jump on board and say, okay, Lord, how can you use this for the glory of God? How can we use this for the glory of God? How can we make a difference virtually for the glory of God? And so all of these things are just virtual shifts that you can make to help you get to the next step and help you start moving towards the future that God has for you and your church. All right. So look, that's it. I'm done. I don't wore y'all out. I feel like tonight I kind of preached a little bit better than y'all shouted, but it's all good. I ain't gonna hold it against you. But what I will say is this: is that if you need more, if you want to know more, if you need more help, all you got to do is go to our website, simplesystems.cc. You can go there and you can find more blogs, you can find more information, you can go and you can watch more videos, you can even go on YouTube, you can go to our page there, Henry Tolbert on YouTube, and you can just consume as much of our content as blesses your heart to help you take the next steps and continue to move the church forward. All right. So look, I hope it was a blessing to you. Until next time, keep the gears turning.